And we're on the air. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the show that's better than a big bowl of shut the hell up. This is the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters. It's right here. I am Mike Galetta, a.k.a. Hampton Mike, along with my partner, Brian the Ranger Attard. Brian, how are you today?
I need to take a big bowl of sedatives.
No, I'm good. No, the doctor's prescribed it. I threw it out. It's fine.
It's good.
It gives me a little mental, anyway. So, in our quest for 32 preview teams of the NFL, we now go up to famous Lambeau and talk to our affiliate with the Green Bay Packers, who lives in the area and loves the Packers to death. Let's talk to him now. Ryan Hovermale. Ryan, what's up?
How are you guys?
I'm phenomenal.
Is that even a question here anymore?
I'm just happy you got Ryan in studio. Ryan's done the show a couple times. We appreciate him making the effort to come down to our little area of the world here. Yep. So it's awesome.
So Brian, stat me. Let's talk Packers. Let's go.
Green Bay Packers, 10-6 last season, first place in the NFC North. They did lose the Atlanta Falcons the NFC Championship game.
Didn't they lose the Super Bowl?
Now, if you remember, did you know the Falcons lost the Super Bowl?
We're going to talk about them. They were up 28-3 though.
With 3 minutes left.
Wow. I can't believe they lost.
Yeah, so that was after the Packers went into Dallas. Offensively, the Green Bay Packers were always fantastic. 8th overall in the NFL. Rushing, as you can expect, 20th, but 7th through the air. 4th most points per game. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers over 4,400 yards, 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Leading rusher on the team was actually Ty Montgomery with 457 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the person with the most rushing touchdowns last year, Aaron Rodgers with 4. Jordy Nelson keeps fighting the clock. 97 catches, 1,257 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Davante Adams, a breakout season. He just missed 1,000 yards by a handful, 75 catches, and 12 touchdowns. Defensively has not always been the strong suit for the Packers. I think you know that. 22nd ranked in the league. They were 8th against the run, probably because people stopped running when they were down so many points. 31st against the pass, 21st in points against. They took their first 2 picks in the draft and really addressed their secondary in a big way. Took 2 guys that many people thought would be late first-round picks in the 2nd round. Kevin King, cornerback out of Washington, 33rd pick, and then Josh Jones, safety out of NC State, late in the 2nd. And I'm going to start there.
I'm getting breaking news right now.
Oh, go ahead.
We're getting actual video of the kick that ruined it for the Cowboys last year. Oh, Mason Crosby. Oh, it's good. It's good! Alright, I'm sorry.
That's good there.
I'm sorry. I'm back. Are you good?
Are you good?
I'm good. I got 7. I'm good.
Alright.
I'm sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
No problem.
Back to relevant things. Okay, so again, there was some speculation that Green Bay might be looking to address that running back spot. It looks like Ty Montgomery is going to get that job going in. They really addressed their secondary in the draft with 2 guys who, if you watch the Sportsbox mock draft, we thought might be late first-round picks. Talk a little bit about what they did with these 2 guys, King and Jones.
Love the fact that they were able to, to your point, they were able to trade back, get some more picks, and still get the guys they wanted. When we talked about the draft, I didn't think King would be there. Jones was more of a safety. I think they needed to address the corner, which they did. He's struggling a little bit right now, but I mean, he's a young kid. He's got to learn the position. But if you're going back to last year, I'm shocked you guys even had me on again because I said I was excited about the defense last year. How'd that go? Randall gets hurt. Sam Shields goes out with a concussion. I think we're going to see a lot more of the same this year, unfortunately, unless King and Jones and Clinton Dix just absolutely just take over. A lot of injuries, a lot of inexperience out there, so I still think a lot needs to be done. It's going to be a miracle if they improve on that ranking in the passing game, in my opinion, defensively anyway.
You talk about the offense with Green Bay. They're obviously known for Aaron Rodgers, and I think he'll have a good year again this year like Aaron Rodgers does. You got good wide receivers out there. You talked about Jordy Nelson, Davante Adams, Randall Cobb. I mean, these guys are staples in the offense. They did lose Cook in the offseason, but not a bad change with Martellus Bennett sliding in there.
Not at all.
So the offense should be good. But I'm looking at the running back situation. They do have Ty Montgomery there, and people say, well, you could probably have him spread out. It might be a little bit better. I like this kid they drafted out of BYU, Jamal Williams. I think he's going to slide in there nice. What do you think that's going to add to the offense?
I couldn't agree more. I watched a lot of late night college football. I'm normally up and just kind of laying around, and I saw him play a lot. Strong back, gets through the hole. Not a lot of dancing, which you need The Packers still run that zone scheme, so it's you want to string it out and make one cut, and that's what that kid does.
And amazing he can get to the edge.
Yes,
Yeah.
he can. He's strong. The only thing that you worry about is just him being a rookie. So is he going to know to string it out long enough? Is he going to know to hit that hole? Is he going to know to wait? Is he going to know, even the blocking schemes and all that? But I for one think that Jamal Williams is going to be a big part of the offense. And that may come because Montgomery is banged up or just, not doing what he needs to do, not being effective. So.
And a follow-up question to that is this line has been known to protect Aaron Rodgers, to death, and they've had the same line for a while now. The only one they've really brought in is Jordy Evans from New Orleans this year. Do you think that line is still intact, that they're going to be able to protect Rodgers like he normally is?
I sure hope so. We let Sitton walk. We let Lang walk. Was it Lang? I know it was Sitton.
Yeah.
So apparently those coaches know something. I like Jahari Evans. I mean, he's been around forever. He's been a Pro Bowler out in New Orleans, so I think he's going to do all right. But you start to worry about, again, not to go back to this again, but Balaga had a lot of injuries, and Barclay and Corey Linsley, all these guys, these nagging injuries. I'm not really sure if they have the depth that they need.
Yeah.
That being said, every single year they seem to be able to protect number 12, and when it comes down to it, I think everybody who's an NFL fan knows if you keep number 12 upright, you're going to win 10, 11, 12 games a year. So.
And to that point, last year was kind of a tale of two wide receivers, excluding Jordy Nelson, for the Packers. With the emergence of Davante Adams, the great year that he had, you really saw Randall Cobb have a really down year, for we've come to expect from Randall Cobb. Only played in 13 games, just 60 catches, 610 yards, just 4 touchdowns. He's the third highest paid player on the team right now. He's signed for 2 more seasons. Where is this going with him? I mean, have we seen peak Randall Cobb in Green Bay? Is he still a focal point of the offense, or are we to expect, him to really kind of be de-emphasized and really Davante Adams to be Jordy's heir apparent?
I think the only logical explanation here, the only logical way to go is, by the way, if you guys remember last year, I said Davante Adams may not even make the team. So again, I don't know why I'm here. But I'm here. But yeah,
we're trying to forget the past.
I'm
not here to talk about the past.
His rookie season, he was awful. He was awful, and then he wasn't looking any better. But to his credit, man, he played too well to not even the number 2 guy. He's 1A right now, and you even have guys like Geronimo Allison and Jeff Janis and some of the Trevor Davis is returning kicks now, and he looks like a totally different player, speed wise, hands wise. Randall Cobb is a fan favorite. I went out to Green Bay. You wouldn't believe the amount of Randall Cobb jerseys and little kids and adults. Everybody had one on it. So I don't think he's going anywhere, but I think you're going to see along the same lines as the stats you did last year. You're going to see Adams and Nelson command a bunch. Martellus Bennett is going to step in and he's going to have 70, 80 catches. It's inevitable. Even Lance Kendricks, even Richard Rodgers, these guys are just going to see a lot of his targets. He doesn't get separation. He's not very fast anymore. He's a possession type of guy.
27-year-old guy. I mean, it's not like he's on the wrong side of 30 or anything,
he
right?
shouldn't be losing steps.
You mentioned Bennett. They really haven't had, at least from a fantasy perspective, which a lot of people look at, a fantasy relevant tight end since Jermichael Finley.
That's true.
Are you going on the record here? I know you've gone on the record a couple times the wrong way.
Completely wrong.
Do you really see Bennett being a focal point of the offense?
I don't see how he's not. At the very least, he gives you that guy that, as good as the Packers receivers have been, when you get inside the red zone, they really haven't had that guy that can just box somebody out and Rodgers can just throw it at his chest. Now you have that guy. Not only that, but the guy he's emotional. He's got an attitude. He brings respect to the locker room, which he's already got. I think that him and Rodgers are going to be a good combination. I think Bennett's going to be a Pro Bowler this year.
And I think it's his 15th too, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. I know he's been in Dallas. I know he's been in New York, Chicago, New England.
Yep, this is his 5th. Yep. And anywhere he went, he played well.
Right.
So just imagine with a guy like Rodgers, it stands to reason. But again, we'll see.
Talking to Ryan Hovermale, Green Bay Packer affiliate for the Sports Box. Ryan, we talk about the defensive side of the ball now, and you talk about the defensive line. I think is is fine. You got Kenny Clark, Mike Daniels, Clay Matthews, obviously up there in age, but he's fine. Jake Ryan. The secondary is the talk of the preseason because you got obviously Clinton Dix back there having a good year. But Josh Jones, the kid they drafted from North Carolina State, heavy hitter, small kid, not afraid to throw his body around there. Could he start opening day over Morgan Burnett?
It would be hard for me to see that happen, but following the Packers the way I do, every single beat writer says the same thing about the defense. Josh Jones.
They love
Josh Jones.
Yep.
It's not Kevin King. It's not Devon House who came back, who's playing really well. I forgot to mention him to begin with. He's going to be a lockdown corner on that one side. You just have to worry about the other. But it's going to be hard to keep that kid off the field. And there's already been talk about him maybe moving into like a hybrid linebacker role, like Deion Buchanan in Arizona. It's one of those things. Plus, again, going back to injuries, Burnett misses 4, 5, 6 games a year. It's always something nagging. He does that this year, and Josh Jones really steps up. He may never be the same.
The last question for me is back there running punts back and running kickoffs back. I know it's been kind of a thing with the Green Bay Packers. They never want to put Cobb back there, but Cobb is their best option. They do have a guy now named Trevor Davis back there, 2-year guy. Is Trevor Davis going to be the man back there? Maybe during the course of the year we see a little switch up in that, or we're going to see Randall Cobb again.
I hope it's Davis. He returned that punt against the Eagles, and he looked great doing it. Honestly, the last time I remember the Packers having any type of a return game was Desmond Howard in 96, 95.
That wasn't recent. Yeah, that was.
Since then,
that's been a while ago.
I feel like they're ranked consistently 25 and below. Most of the time, 30, 31, 32 in kick and punt returns.
Yeah. A lot of teams don't like to put the wide receiver back there. If he gets hurt, that's one name there.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with this crew wide receiving corps. So
yeah, you don't want to put any of those guys. Listen, he looked good on one punt return, so I guess we'll see.
Before we get to the schedule, one thing I have on the defense, you actually bring up a good point, is, do any of these guys that are playing safety, because again, whether it's Burnett or whether it's Jones or whatever, could these guys, do you see possibly, moving into a corner role? Can any of these guys play that instead of, if Quentin Rollins does not play very well and you have talented guys like Burnett and Jones, you can't keep Jones off the field. Do you foresee anything where either Clinton Dix or Jones or even Burnett play a little corner because they're not as deep there?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the Micah Hyde role that we've had the last 3 or 4 years. He came in from Iowa. Well, I'm a big Hawkeye fan as well, so I watched him there. He was a very good corner there. He transitioned over to safety. He came to us as a safety and really was pushed into a different kind of role where he was a hybrid linebacker, corner, safety. I see Josh Jones being able to move into that. I don't think Burnett has the foot speed. I don't think he's fast enough, to be honest with you. So he's your prototypical safety. He's a guy that's going to be 20 yards deep. He can get over the top, or you could put him 5 yards from the football and tell him to play the run. Josh Jones, I think, is a candidate to definitely move in, especially to your point. If Randall struggles, if Rollins isn't playing well, there's no reason. Once again, you want to get your best 11 guys on the field. If Josh Jones is one of your best 11, it doesn't matter who he's going in for. Put him on the field.
Absolutely. So you look at the schedule, Ryan, and I like to call myself the dissector here because I always look at Murder's Row on a team during the year. And I think the Packers obviously have a tougher schedule because they went to the playoffs and they're a good team. But I see 2 Murder's Row in this schedule with 3-game spreads out of the gate. I mean, you're playing Seattle, and then you're off to the Super Bowl, runner-up Atlanta. Did they lose that game?
By a little bit.
The Super Bowl? I turned it off in the third quarter.
I went to bed. I thought they won.
Wait, hold on. Wait, they were off 25 and stuff.
I thought they won. I don't know. I thought they won. Anyway, then you got Cincinnati, which is not an easy game too. Even though it's at Green Bay, that's still a contender. Then you look at the back end of the schedule, and you talk about Week 11, home against Baltimore, who's going to be a playoff team, I think, this year. You got to go to Pittsburgh, and then they probably get embarrassed at home against the Bucs. So it's going to be a tough schedule up and down. Oh, did I slide that in there? I'm sorry. No, but I mean,
to Mike's credit, he's consistent.
Damn right, I'm all over the place. But I think those first 3 games, Seattle, Atlanta, Cincinnati, gets them off to a great start. or off to a mediocre start? Do you kind of agree with that? Or?
100%. I was actually in Green Bay last year for when they opened the season against Seattle. Great game.
Open up again.
They open up with them again.
Yeah.
I hope Seattle's taking a step back at some point. It feels like they've been good for 3 decades now.
Yeah.
The only thing you could say is at home. So I think they get it done. Then the whole thing with that Super Bowl hangover, and not to mention a team that loses a game that they were up 25 points in the third quarter. I think the Falcons are going to take 2, 3, 4 steps back this year. I could be wrong, but it's just going from history. So you hope they can get off to maybe 2-0. As you said, though, Mike, I think the Bengals they don't play well against the Bengals. Little known fact, actually, you guys might know it. The Bengals are the only NFL team that Aaron Rodgers has not beaten in his entire career. So we'll see if that changes this year.
Yeah.
But
and briefly, I'll say this: it's funny it's scheduled. Not that Green Bay is neither west nor east; they're probably right around the middle.
Mhm.
But they have no West Coast away games this year.
Notice that right
They
away,
do
yeah.
not go to the West at all this year. That's amazing. They go east a ton, but they don't go west at all. That's amazing.
What I think is interesting for the schedule, especially if you're Green Bay, teams don't like to go up to the frozen tundra and play cold games in December.
Yeah.
They only have 2 home games in December. One against Tampa, where I do think the weather's going to play in Green Bay's favor. I know you disagree. I'm already aware of that.
Bucks have won a Super Bowl going into cold weather. Anyway. Sorry, I started it again. I'm sorry.
Okay. That was in That was Philadelphia.
No,
We're not talking about
it was on the way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A lot of people beat Philadelphia.
There you go. So, and then they get we love that, but trust me, we love that in the sports box. Then they get the Vikings at home. They're in a division where I feel of all the divisions in the NFL outside of the AFC East, where you can say who the division winner is going to be right now. I'm very comfortable saying, not breaking news, Green Bay is going to win this division. They don't have a lot of things to worry about within their own division. So the 6 games they play within the division, if they go 5-1, I think that's probably where they're going to be. Their schedule really, really lightens up actually towards the end of the season.
It does.
Because they got Cleveland. Okay. They're going to Carolina. Again, not that Carolina's going to be good or bad. They're really a Jekyll and Hyde team. They should beat Minnesota at home, and then they're going to go to Detroit. They might be out of it by then. We don't really know.
Right.
But to your point, Mike, that out of the gate, I don't know of any team that has a harder out of the gate than the Packers do. Those first 3 games are going to set the tone. If they come out 2-1, I think they're smooth sailing.
That's what I think.
They're going to catch the Cowboys probably without Ezekiel Elliott. That didn't matter last year, so whatever. That Saints game is going to be very interesting as well to see what the Saints do out of the dome at Lambeau. It's an interesting schedule, but again,
it is.
You're right. Those first 3 games.
Well, think of it this way too. To your point about the last 3 games of the year, at Carolina, home against Minnesota, and at Detroit. 2 of those 3 games are probably going to knock teams out of the playoffs.
Yes.
Because if Carolina's going to need that game, they need that win, and then Detroit's going to need to get in if it's close.
Yep.
So there's 2 games right there that can eliminate teams. So
and the Browns might want to lose that game to make sure they get the first overall pick.
The Browns will be packing the bus up by then. Packing the bus up by then.
So we're going to put you on the spot. Again, they're a team last year. Again, they went to the NFC Championship. We both thought they were going to win, and we heard about it.
Yeah.
Because we both picked that game wrong. What are your thoughts? Aaron's not getting any younger. His supporting cast not getting any younger, but they're doing
a lot of his years.
They are doing their best to address their defense. I'm a little concerned about their running game personally. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't think it's stereotypical running back. It didn't hurt them last year. They went to the NFC Championship game. So, outlook.
I'm seeing 11-5, 12-4 if they're lucky. I'm not one of those guys who's going to come in here, look at that camera, like some fans we know, and say 15-1, 16-0. It's just not going to happen.
Wasn't it one shot?
Actually, the Saints fans said 13-3.
Yeah, it's not going to be. A Saints fan
we
said the Saints are going to go 13-3.
We disagreed with
Folks,
that.
just to remind you what I said on that show, if they do go 13-3, I will walk to Texas and kiss his ass. Okay?
I'm kind of rooting for it now, though. I really am.
James Primo, we love you, but that's a little nuts. Yeah.
I am rooting for the Saints to go 13-3. I want a video chronicle of that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I just think... I think they start out, as you said, the first 3 games, Seahawks, Falcons, Bengals, I don't know which one they're going to lose, but I think they lose one of the 3. Could be the first one, could be the Falcons, could be any of them. Then, even though the division isn't very good, they always find a way to lose to the Vikings one time. They always find a way to lose to the Lions one time. They'll beat the Bears twice because the Bears are awful.
Yes.
But, there's 4, 5... Maybe even 6 losses in there, but I'm leaning more towards 11-5, 12-4 for the year.
My interesting part, I think, with them is they remind me a lot of If you think about the teams like the Falcons, for example, the Falcons need some games at home in the playoffs because they don't really play well away from there. From Green Bay's perspective, if they're going to, I mean, they ended up as the 4 seed last year. They won their home game and they ended up losing on the road, their second road game in Atlanta. It's progressively more difficult to win road games in the playoffs. Although your team found a way to beat my team, regardless. How important is it going to be for them to end up with a 1 or 2 seed? And I don't think 10 wins is going to get that done, respectfully. So
Definitely not.
Can they do that again? I mean, again, they didn't play very well in Atlanta. Everybody knows that, but I think they were kind of banged up at the time too. Do they need a 1 or 2 seed to get through, or?
I wish I could say, but it all depends on how the teams that are at the top of the NFC are playing at that time. I always me and my father talk about it all the time. Lambeau Field is a very difficult place to play, but people forget it's a difficult place to play for Rodgers and the receivers too. Listen, it's -10 for everybody. It's hard to catch the ball. It's hard to throw the ball. It's hard to stay warm. It's hard to stay loose. So, to be completely honest, last year I liked the fact that we went to Dallas last year. It's indoors. Yeah. We're a team that's made to score points. I love the fact that we were going to Atlanta. I said, me and my father talked about it. We said they're going to kill Atlanta because it's going to be a shootout, and they're better at a shootout.
Right.
Well, that didn't work out, but again, now this year could be different. If the running game really gets going and they're more balanced, then absolutely, I want them to be a 1 or 2 seed. I want them to be able to have that crowd at their back. I want them to be able to hand the ball to Montgomery and Williams and whoever else is running the football. It might be Martellus Bennett at that time. You never know.
They're open to it.
Right. That's what you want to see. But if it's like last year when they're throwing the ball 40 times a game, I don't see how being at Lambeau when it's -15 degrees, -10 degrees is an advantage.
Yeah, they're not actually. The funny thing is, they're really not built to play there.
They're not at all. Not anymore. I mean, the Packers teams of the past when they had Dorsey Levens and Edgar Bennett and these guys that just you would give them the ball 25, 30 times a game, and there it was. Not anymore. It's a different game.
We will see, but 11-5 sounds right around. Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right behind those 16-0 Bucks, right?
I never said 16-0. Don't put words in my mouth. 15-1. Thank you very much for watching. This is the Green Bay special. We're going to come to a close here. We're going to thank our Green Bay affiliate and friend Ryan Hovermale for coming in studio again. This place is like gold mine in here. Everybody comes down here. So Ryan, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Absolutely, only winners here. So remember, we can only get you, we can only get you. If you want to get us, we are on social media if you need to.
Absolutely, and as I'm sure you know by now, this is one of 32 NFL team previews we're doing for you. So if you haven't seen your team yet, or you want to kind of get the lay of the land, fantasy football, all that kind of stuff, make sure you're subscribing to the Sports Box on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Sports Box Show. We got a lot of great content coming for you. Don't be the one that misses out.
Don't worry, folks. The weed I smoke is medically induced. So anyway, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. That's Sports Box, the only opinion that matters. It's right here. Thank you for watching. See ya.
This episode of the Sports Box is brought to you by Mic'd Up Entertainment and DJ Mike Velarde. For all of your event planning needs, make sure you contact Mike at 609-864-5925 and tell him that you saw him on the Sports Box.
1, 2, 3.
Don't forget to subscribe.